Boom! From training and traveling to studying and partying, living the American dream is one of the best decisions I've ever made, and I'm here to show you why. Welcome to D1 Diaries, the podcast bringing you into the everyday life of an international student athlete in America. I'm your host, Tim Namungan, a rugby player who packed his bags and went from the big city lights in London to the farm fields of Arkansas. I'm here to answer all the questions you didn't even know you had about what it's like to move to America to study and play rugby. Let's get into it. Welcome everybody to the very first episode of the D1 Diaries podcast, hosted by yours truly, Tiernan O'Mungan, in partnership with the Arkansas State Department of Media and Communications. For those that don't know me, I play rugby for the Arkansas State Red Bulls rugby team, currently in my third year at the school and loving every minute of it. The time is currently 7:37 in the morning on Thursday, the 5th February. So thanks for everyone joining us. Let's take a quick sip of coffee. Let's get into it. Alright, so today's show will consist of me, and only me, talking about my journey over the last few years. Who, what, when, where, and why. You know what I mean? Who helped me, what I looked at, when I made my decision, where I want this opportunity to take me, and why I chose A-State. This episode is kind of going to lay the groundwork for upcoming episodes and to provide some context as to who you're listening to and I guess taking advice from. So let's start off with who. So who am I? So I introduced myself already. Well, my name's Tim Namungan. Grew up, born and raised in London. Moved around a lot. But yeah, I'm half Irish, half Italian. Been playing rugby pretty much my whole life. It's all I know. It's my favorite thing to do. I love the sport. And yeah. So yeah, that's really all about me. I suppose interest outside of rugby would be so sports in general. I love just watching sports with the boys. I'm not that much anymore, but used to be an avid gamer. Used to love playing Fortnite back in the day, Overwatch, FIFA, Madden, all of that. But yeah, that's kind of me, bro. Who did I speak to? So when I say this, I'm talking about who did I speak to in terms of like who did I look for advice from? Who did I speak to in order to come to America? Who did I speak to in order to come to A-State in particular? So yeah, so who did I speak to? So initially, obviously, starts with my parents. I told them, I was like, look, I'm not really sure what I want to do after college, but I think I might want to move abroad and play rugby and go to university somewhere else. So I looked initially at Australia, looked at Japan, and just nothing really fit. And then I just saw an opportunity to go to America. So then I spoke to some of my academic advisors at my school at the time, and we had one teacher in particular who kind of specialized in that bridge from college to university. Also, just to preface, when I say college, college is basically the last 2 years of school in England. That confuses a lot of people, so I thought I'd just clear that up real quick. But yeah, so we had a teacher who kind of was the head of bridging the gap between university and college. And yeah, he had some advice for me about moving to America. So I went to Henley College. We had a guy who did like track and field, like did athletics, and I don't know if he's still there, but he definitely did go to Michigan, I believe, the University of Michigan, to go pursue his dreams there. And then along the way, obviously spoke to a million coaches. It felt like I think I had maybe 30 odd Zoom interviews / email chains. One of the biggest helps was the Penn State head coach at the time. He kind of broke down what the American life was like rather than just kind of advertising at school. And he actually put me in contact with Coach Dom, which is a A-State rugby coach. And obviously I spoke with Coach Dom, and yeah, he just told me about the school, how great it is, and how I can progress. My last bit of the who is who have I met along the way. Well, I've met some brilliant people here. Met some people from all over the world. Obviously my best friends. I hope someone's car is beeping in the back. We'll just let that go. So who have I met along the way? So I met a lot of brilliant people that have helped me out throughout my journey, and just some really cool people. So I met people from all over the world, met plenty of American people, met plenty of international kids as well. So that's really cool. Some notable names I say would be probably my best friends right now. So I'll be Braden Berry, who's on the rugby team here. He's American. Our Tulin tomorrow. He's my housemate. He's from France, so I had to put on a little accent there to get his name right. My other housemate, Sange Muto. Hopefully we'll get them on the pod one day. And then some other people, T-Money, Terrence Allen, another guy who's helped me out big time. Would love to get him on the pod as well in the future. And yeah, some other great people that I've met along the way that have helped shape my opportunities and shaped my experiences here in America. Next up, we've got the what. So I got what did I need to move here? What major did I choose? And what have I enjoyed the most? So what did I need to move here? So for a lot of people, visas can be quite scary. It was definitely scary for me because I'm Irish, I have an Irish passport. So going to and from Europe, like to go on holidays, I never really had to worry about visas. So this was my first kind of time having to worry about a visa. And especially now with the current climate and the way immigration's kind of going and stuff like that, it can be quite a daunting thing. And that's what kind of stuff that I need to move here. So I needed a visa. So if you're looking to study in America, whether to play sports or not, you need what's called the F1 visa. So in order to obtain that, you need to get an I-20 form. The I-20 is essentially a piece of paper or a document. Like it's not just a piece of paper. It's an important document that the school that you have enrolled to and, are going to basically shows and proves that you're actually going to that school. So I got mine from A-State. It's signed by, the appropriate people who need to sign it. I signed it on my end as well. And then you essentially give that as well as your passport and a handful of other documents that basically proves that you've paid for this and that you've done this, done that. Once that's been approved, you get a stamp. It's quite a good looking stamp, to be fair. A good looking stamp in your passport that basically proves that you're allowed to come to America for what you're coming here for. So I've got that in my passport. I have to renew it every year. That's a long story, but essentially my passport at the time was expiring, essentially halfway through my degree. So I couldn't get the 4-year visa. So I had to go back every summer and renew it, which, it can be fun and game sometimes. Especially, in the current climate in terms of immigration can be a little scary. But as long as you haven't done or said anything that could get you in trouble, you should be fine. So there's no need for me to be scared because I haven't done or said anything, that would warrant me not getting a visa. So yeah. So what made you guys choose? So obviously, like I said at the start, this is in partnership with the A-State Department of Media Communications. I've picked creative media productions with an emphasis in sports media. So why did I choose this in particular? Well, essentially, I wanted to do a degree that one, I would enjoy my time studying and working towards, but also the possibility of a job that I'll get afterwards would be something I would enjoy as well. So don't get me wrong, getting a degree in finance, getting a degree in accounting, business, or even at A-State, we have a lot of agricultural majors. Those are very good majors in terms of the job that you'll get afterwards. I was at a investment club thing yesterday. If I remember correctly, if you pass your CFA exam, which is an accountancy exam, your starting salary is like 100 grand a year, which is silly money. It's good money. But maths and finance and that kind of stuff was never really my thing. And I've always kind of had a passion for doing creative media, whether that's photography. I got injured quite a lot, in college. So I was on the sideline quite a bit, taking photos for the team, and I just, enjoyed that. I enjoyed making videos. So there's that. And also I'm emphasizing in sports media. So there's a few different types of media that you can do or like emphasize in. So there's corporate media, social media, actually sports media, just because it coincides with what I do every day. I'm training or watching or playing sports, in some fashion every day. Like today is Thursday, so we just came back from the gym. That's why I'm up this early. And, the Six Nations starts today. So I'll get onto that later. But yeah, so I'm doing something with sports pretty much every day. So it's very important to me that, I'm doing something sport related in my degree. I'm enjoying it so far. This is obviously for my audio productions 2 class. I'm enjoying that with, Mr. Reeves. Love Mr. Reeves. He's looked after me big time here. He was my academic advisor at the start. He's no longer my academic advisor, but he's still someone that I chat to every now and then and look for advice from. So yeah, it's really cool of him, to allow me to do this podcast and kind of share my passions with the people, I suppose. So yeah, that's it really for my major. I have thought about switching, but then I just thought, you know what, let me stick it out and, hopefully see where it takes me. We do work a lot with ESPN here at A-State. So that's something that would be really cool to work with. For those that don't know, the MLR, so the Major League Rugby, here in America, they just signed a deal with the ESPN. So it would be quite cool to perhaps break into the ESPN scene via rugby. But we'll see. That's a long ways away. And, so lastly for the what section is what have I enjoyed the most? Well, obviously, apart from, rugby trips, going away, like bowl games, like we, just won, we're 3-time bowl champs. Especially this time was the back-to-back Spartan Bowl, Spartan Regiment Bowl, sorry. Went back-to-back with that. We were gone for 3 days as opposed to normally 2 that we would spend on an away day. So that was quite cool. Chilling with the boys away from home in a fancy hotel. It's quite nice. And yeah. Other than that though, getting just to see America, was always like a dream of mine. Don't get me wrong, I haven't done that much traveling, but we are about an hour away from Memphis. So we've been to Memphis a billion times, it feels like. But you never get bored of it. It's just so cool to go there, um, and just enjoy what America has to offer. On top of that, it's really just the connections I've made, whether that's professionally or socially. It's just been so cool to just meet people from so many different backgrounds, and just seeing how all these paths all ended up at A State, and how we're all here right now. So yeah. So next we got when. So when did I decide to come to America? So obviously after my time at college, I didn't do particularly well in school. I have to say. I'm going to preface this before I say what I'm going to say. Education is very important, and I don't want anyone to tell you otherwise. But I didn't follow my own advice at the time, so don't do what I did. Just bear that in mind, guys. Yeah. So I wasn't doing particularly well at A levels. I took French, PE, and biology because I thought I wanted to be a physiotherapist, and realized how much I hated biology and stuff like that. So yeah. So I chose those subjects, realized I wasn't particularly good at them, and then when the opportunity arose to come to America, I kind of just didn't care about school anymore because most schools, not all schools, bear in mind, but most schools in America, for your like high school equivalency, they only require you GCSEs. And I suppose the stars aligned. I took my GCSEs during COVID, which feels like ages ago now. Um, and because of that, I got relatively good grades. So a GPA is a grade point average. The highest you can get is a 4.0. Now that is top tier stuff. Like if you can graduate high school or better yet graduate university with close to a 4.0, you've done well. And after basically kind of doing the rough averages and rough calculations, I ended up with about 3.5 GPA coming out of my GCSEs. So once I realized that, I was like, well, I don't really need to care about A levels. I should have done. Don't get me wrong. I should have cared about school more than I did, but I didn't, unfortunately. So don't follow my footsteps. I didn't do particularly well in my A levels. And then, so because I didn't do too well in my A levels, I knew I wouldn't be able to go to university in England. I ended up with 2 U's and a D. For those that don't know, that is very, very bad. Yeah. It's probably education-wise the thing I'm most ashamed of is that I didn't leave school with all 3 A levels. So especially if you're from England or you're studying in England right now, do not do what I did. Do not sack off your A levels. But yeah, that's what I ended up doing. And yeah. So some schools do require A levels. There was a few schools I spoke to before I committed to A State that did require my A levels as well, and that was part of the reason why I didn't attend those schools. All right, next up on when should you start preparing for a move to the States? So if you live in the Northern Hemisphere like I do, then you're quite lucky because the school year basically coincides with the school year in America. They start a bit earlier, but they end a bit earlier as well. But it's roughly the same. So like back home, we start in September, and unless you've got exams at the end of the year, you'll finish in July. It's similar in America. They start in August and they'll end in May. So it's the same way, like you finish in the summer and then you start at the end of summer, essentially. So if you're in the Northern Hemisphere like me, you should start preparing as early as possible. But if I were you, especially if you want to come for sports, I'd start looking at schools when you're maybe like 16, 17, like starting to go into sixth form/college. That would just give you plenty of time to prepare your options, save a bit of money because it is quite a costly endeavor. And, yeah, it's just the earlier the better. I kind of did it, not lastminute.com, but I started looking at it, I'd say, maybe not halfway through, but maybe a third of the way through of my last year of school. So that was a bit of a rush, especially come summertime. So yeah, that's all I could really say about when you should start preparing for a move to the States. It's mainly because the visa can take a while, and if anything happens, you have time. That's something that I messed up with. I basically misread an email, and my visa was later than anticipated. I'll get onto that, I'm sure, in a future episode. But yeah, the last bit of when is when do we train? So our average schedule, I guess you could say, we train for about 2 hours each day, plus hour and a half gym session every day. So our schedule would roughly look like on a Monday is kind of our like flush out day, like after the weekend if we've had a match, especially. It's kind of just more of a chill session, focus on units, focus on like smaller skills rather than big team session. As well as the gym session before that, we'll usually have a meeting on a Monday as well, just to kind of prepare us for the week or break down what we did the week before, especially if we had a match. Then Tuesdays and Thursdays are basically the same, where we gym in the morning, like we did this morning, and then we'll train in the afternoon. And then Friday can depend on either if we have a game or not, how far are we out from our next game. So especially like at the start of the year, because of the weather that we tend to get, we tend to not have games too early in January. Like our first game is February 14th of this semester. So that's, almost 6 weeks into the semester, about 5, 6 weeks. because we do tend to like, get a lot of snow, so we don't want to risk games getting cancelled, which could then further uh, harm our rankings, which I get into. But yeah, so we could do like just a morning gym session, or even like a own time gym session, as coach likes to call it. Just whenever you're free, just get a top up in, and then yeah, if we have a game, we'll usually do a team run. If we have a home game, that is, we'll have a team run on the Friday. If we have an away game, we'll travel on the Friday, so we'll leave Friday morning, travel the whole day, and then get there Friday afternoon, Friday evening, play on the Saturday. And then obviously if we have a game on Saturday, we'll obviously play. If we have like a long stretch before the next game, we might train on the Saturday just to kind of get like match day minutes in, if that makes sense. And then Wednesdays and Sundays are usually off. Uh, like we've had before, like if we have a Friday game or even a Sunday game like we had for the bowl game, that might change the schedule, but nothing too much. Um, but yeah, and then it kind of just basically like goes around your school schedule. So like for me, for example, I've got like an 8 a.m. class every day, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays I have a class two classes I suppose, from 11 to about 2, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday is a bit different as well. Next up we've got where. So we've got where did I grow up, where am I from, which are kind of like two different things, and I'll touch on that. Where did I play rugby? So where did I grow up? So obviously, like I said at the start, I moved around a lot, but I am from London. Currently I live in Flackwell Heath, just next to High Wycombe, if anyone's heard of that. Unless you're near that area, you probably haven't, which is fine. Um, yeah, I grew up in a bunch of different places around London, mainly northwest London. Before moving up outside of London, I lived in Harlesden, so not too far from Wembley. Before that, I lived in Maida Vale. Before that, I lived in Acton. So I've been a West London boy my whole life. Very proud of it. And then yeah, so where am I from? So even though I'm born and raised in London, you will never catch me saying that I'm English. So even though I live in England, I will never say I'm English. Never see me supporting the England team. You'll never see me say I'm from England. I always say I'm from London, which at least to me is two different things. To other people it might not be, but it's alright. Um, so like I said, I'm half Irish, half Italian. My dad's, full on Irish, born and raised there. My mom's full on Italian, born and raised there. And I'm very proud of my heritage. Every time, Ireland's on the TV, I'll watch them. Every time Italy's on the TV, I'll watch them. When that's football, rugby, the Olympics, especially, which is coming up. But yeah, so a lot of people do ask me, when Ireland play Italy, who do you support? So I'll say this: in rugby, I genuinely do not care who wins the game. A lot of people say, well, you can't say that. Well, in the Six Nations in particular, if Ireland win, it's good because it's more likely they'll win the Six Nations then. If Italy win, it's good because it's a massive win for their program. And I'll touch on that later. I do possibly see an Italy upset here, but we'll touch on that more later. And lastly, where did I play rugby? So up until I was about 16, going on 17, I played for the same club my whole life, essentially. Kilburn Cosmos. I would not be where I am without them. Coach Mark, Coach Rod, Coach Kevin, my dad as well. Coach DVD, Coach James even. I would not be where I am right now without them, without my teammates, my brothers. We went undefeated in 2018, I believe. We even went to Wales, played a big match, and then a tournament the next day, and we went undefeated there. That was easily my favourite season of rugby, maybe ever. Because we were such a close team, such good mates, like off the field. So yeah, that's why I played rugby pretty much my whole life. I was in the London Irish and Ealing Trailfinders academies. Unfortunately, because of like injuries and COVID, I never played a game, which always broke my heart. But I never let that stop me. Played for Middlesex County, which again, Coach Jerry, Coach Mark, Jock, all those guys. That was my first taste of like next level rugby, let's say. Again, wouldn't be where I am without them, for sure. Very, very happy to play for Middlesex. Captained it quite often. I don't think I played a game where I wasn't captain or vice captain. Started off in the under 15s, played 2 games. The third game got cut because of COVID, which was unfortunate. Then moved up to under 17s. I captained there. We went 3 for 3. Captained under 18s, went 3 for 3 again. And then that same season, so I was 17 years old, bear in mind, went to go play for the under 20s. And I was vice captain there. And yeah, that was just, again, a really cool experience. Unfortunately, never made it on to the next level, which is a divisional. But again, I didn't let that stop me. I still love the game. Still wanted to pursue, my love for the sport. And yeah, currently I'm, I suppose, during the winter when I go back, for the Christmas break, I'm with the Marlow Rugby Club. They've taken me in, Coach Kevin, Nick Carvey, Jaffa. They've all kind of taken me in, and they love having me around. I like being around them. Always keen for me to come back home and play a Matilda Cup game. Back-to-back champions, by the way. And yeah, I'm sure I'll get onto more about club stuff in a future episode. But yeah, obviously now I'm playing at Arkansas State. I have played for the Ohio Aviators, which is kind of like an invitational academy team. So now they're called the American Aviators, but they were originally the Ohio Aviators. I was part of the first team, this was last season, to play for, or I suppose the first team that was called the American Aviators. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that's really all the rugby I've played. I suppose in the summer, I might play sevens, or tens. So currently with the ODB, RFC, Old Down Badians. Love those guys. Just such a cool vibe. Just great atmosphere to be around, and can't wait to get stuck in with them in the summer. Lastly, we got why. So I got why did I choose America? Why did I choose A-State? And why did I start this podcast? I'll start with why did I start this podcast? Just so I can kind of break up the school stuff. So why did I start this podcast? Essentially, I didn't think of starting a podcast, but I had to do one for the class. However, when I was in like the planning phase and stuff like that, I realized like it's quite a cool concept. If anyone has seen D1 Diaries, the Instagram/TikTok version, then you'll know that I kind of started this already. So I basically was doing like day in the life kind of thing of home games, traveling, pre-season, stuff like that. And then just, getting into the nitty gritty of school and stuff, I kind of just got off the rails. And then when I had to plan a podcast for this class, I was like, you know what, I already kind of did it. So it'd be quite cool to actually show off what school's like, in a more professional and calm manner, I suppose. So yeah, that's why I started this podcast. Hopefully, after this class is done, I'd love to continue this podcast, hopefully get some more people, and then by the time I graduate, who knows? This might be a massive rugby podcast, who knows? We'll see. Alright, so why did I choose America? So, like I kind of said earlier, I kind of touched on it. Because I was struggling with what I wanted to do after school, I didn't know if I was going to stay and work at the family pub, or if I was going to become a tradie, so go into construction, or if I had the grades to go to uni, which obviously at the time I didn't. I chose America in particular just because I wanted to live the American dream. American rugby was growing. It still is. It's the fastest growing sport for both men and women. So that's really cool. I'd love to be part of this kind of generation that's growing it. And I'd love to be involved in it, like in the future, whether that's coaching or just doing something with it in the future. That'd be really cool. Obviously not the next World Cup in Australia, but the World Cup after. The USA is hosting it, so I'd love to be involved in it somehow, even if that's just coming over to watch a game. But yeah, that's why I chose America in particular. Like I said earlier, I was looking at Australia, I was looking at Japan, but it's just the stars didn't really align for me. Mainly because of the academics, they required a much higher standard, I suppose, including A-levels. That's not to say that the American education system is bad. Like, getting an American education, no matter what school you go to, especially here, with it being like a Division 1 school in like American football and basketball as well. It's pretty big to get an American, education when you go back home and start to look for jobs. And why did I choose A-State in particular? So I probably will touch on it in a future episode, but essentially I sent 70 emails to a bunch of different schools/coaches. And then after however many, Zoom calls or email chains, I kind of whittled it down to about 5 schools. So, I'm not going to say what the other schools were, because I don't want to cause any sort of disruption or anything like that. But A-State was the school I chose just because, I loved Coach Tom's vision, on how he wanted to improve the team. Because the season before I got here, the team didn't do particularly well. I believe they lost all but one game. And he just had a really cool vision for what he wanted to see in the future, as well as how he wanted to progress and how he wanted to use A-State to progress himself, but then also progress the lads into hopefully pro contracts and just being better men. So I also felt like I'm not going to name names, but some of the coaches I spoke to felt a bit too robotic. Felt like they were just kind of reading off a script. I just felt like Coach John was actually speaking to me. So I'm very very glad for that experience, I suppose. So we're going to take a quick break right now just to hear from those supporting the podcast. So
the A-State Red Wolves rugby team are gearing up for a massive semester of games. They kick off the spring semester with local conference rivals Lindenwood University. Match day is on Saturday, February 14th, with kickoff set for 1 p.m. If you're able to, head down to Kurt Huckabee Field and cheer on your top 10 nationally ranked back-to-back bowl championship winning Red Wolves. This event will be streamed on YouTube for all of our fans across the world. A-State vs Lindenwood, 3rd vs 7th, top 2 Midwest Conference clash, February 14th, 1 p.m, Kurt Huckabee Field. See you there.
And we're back. All right. So this is the part of the pod where I put my 2 pence in and give you my takes on the breaking news in the rugby and or sporting world right now. Let me preface this. I'm no pundit. I'm no journalist. I'm just kind of saying what I'm feeling. I love rugby. I love the sport. Don't get me wrong. I don't know like the inner workings of like sort of the back room kind of stuff like that. But I do read a lot about it, and yeah, would love to just give my 2 pence in. And who knows? This might kick off my journalism journey. We never know. So yeah, so the obvious starting point is the Six Nations. It starts today. So bear in mind it's now just gone after 8 o'clock. So the games haven't started. So I promise, if I give a take that seems like scarily accurate to what actually happens during the match week, then don't think I'm faking it or something. It's definitely the morning of the games. So yeah, so I'll be touching on who I think will win the first round of games, the final rankings of the tournament, a player from each team to look out for, and who's in my fantasy team this week. I was going to do kind of like, I'd say like the Form 15 and Form 23, but I'm going to be honest, I don't watch rugby, especially now because of the time zones. So bear in mind, I'm 6 hours behind England, England, Ireland, and the rest of the UK. And so I suppose that makes it 7 hours behind Italy and France. So I don't really get to watch that much rugby, unfortunately. So I haven't really seen a lot of who's in form right now, and I don't want to just copy off someone else. So we'll kick it off. All right, so who do I think will win the first round of games? So we obviously have France kicking us off by hosting Ireland. That's today, on Thursday. It'll be 2:10 my time. And then on Saturday, we have Italy hosting Scotland at 8:10 in the morning for me. And then England hosting Wales at 10:40 for me. So yeah. So first off, we've got France and Ireland. Obviously, I am an Ireland fan, and I hope that we do pull off a win. However, I just can't see it happening. I think France wins this one. I think just Ireland's front row will struggle against the tough French pack. I was watching For the Love of Rugby the other day, and it was an interesting take that the French pack aren't necessarily going for the most powerful squad in terms of like the actual scrum itself. They've got 2 back rows in the second row, so they're not looking for as much power. They're probably looking for a bit more speed on the ground that perhaps the slightly less fit Ireland pack won't be able to keep up with. So that'll be quite interesting to watch. But yeah, I think just mainly Ireland's front row will just be struggling just with all the injuries that we've had recently. I'll touch on the Scotland-Italy game a bit more later, but I'll touch on the England versus Wales game first. So I think obviously England will hammer Wales. England are arguably one of, if not the favourites going into this, and Wales just don't have the firepower to make an upset happen, especially at Twickenham or Allianz Stadium. I can't call it Allianz Stadium, it's Twickenham, innit? I don't think they have the strength to even come close to an upset. I think England will hammer Wales. Now, Italy versus Scotland, I'd argue this is the biggest game of the round. I think whoever wins this game will end up third overall. I think that this game is the most important game, at least for the round. So whoever, like this will decide essentially who finishes third or fourth, and I'll touch on that later. So even though it is at the Stadio Olimpico, it's in Rome, I just think Scotland have probably I'd say overall best backline. They might not have necessarily the best winger or like the best scrum half, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They do have the most flushed out backline. I think that centre partnership, Hugh Pilotu, as well as Finn Russell. I just think that it's too good of a team to not beat Italy. Obviously, again, I love Italy. My heart says Italy, but my head says Scotland. So yeah, I think I'd love to see Italy win. If they do, I think they'll do well in the tournament. But yeah, I just can't see an upset happening here. Even though they are the home team, and they're not doing too bad at the moment. I think they've had a decent enough autumn. Scotland, don't get me wrong, they had a terrible autumn with losses to Argentina and New Zealand, but they weren't necessarily bad losses. I think maybe their last 20 minutes would have hurt them. So perhaps outside of the 15, they might be struggling, but I think Scotland has this one. So the final rankings of the tournament. So I believe that France will win the whole thing. I think despite a few names not being in the squad, like Damien Penaud and Gregory Audrey, Damien Penaud I just don't get. He's like the top try scorer for France and for Bordeaux, like in every tournament. I just don't get why he's not like in the squad. And I think, some of the Bordeaux lads just have like some beef with Galtier. I'm not really sure. But I think regardless, I still think that France will be winning the Six Nations. I hate it just because I have a French housemate, so I'm not gonna hear the end of it. But yeah, another thing that pains me, I think England will come second. I think England are favourites, but I just think the France game will be do or die, which I believe is in the last round, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's in the last round. It's the last game of the tournament, in fact. So that will be, I reckon it will come down to that game. So we'll see. Then, like I said, depending on who wins the Scotland-Italy game, that will determine third and fourth. But I think Scotland will come third, and then therefore Italy will come fourth. However, I'm not ruling out that Scotland can't come first or second. I think Scotland can do well in this tournament, but I just think England are just probably the most informed team. They have probably the most momentum from the autumn and from the club scene. So I think England will do really well, but I just think France will edge it out. And then, yeah, like I said, Italy. I think Italy will come fourth. I think this would be one of Italy's best tournaments in recent memory. And yeah, Ireland, I just think they're just struggling so much. It might not necessarily be a bad thing, but I think Andy Farrell needs to cop on. I think he needs to realise that, look, we've got a World Cup around the corner, in a year's time. I suppose more in a year and a half time. He needs to start fleshing out some new lads. I think the average caps is still like in the 70s or something like that, maybe in the 60s, for the squad. So we need to start like getting some lads in the green shirt, getting some guys going in there, and yeah, hopefully flesh out a decent enough squad. Like my dad grew up in Wiffle, so that makes me a Leinster fan. As much as I love Caelan Doris, I don't think he's the form number 8 right now. I think Jack Cohen has just been carrying the ships in the number 8 shirt for Leinster, and I think he should be starting over Caelan. Even if we have Caelan like 6 or something. However, I do like Cian Prendergast. I'll touch more on him later. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And obviously, I hate to say obviously like that, but I think it is Wales losing and getting the wooden spoon. I'll touch more in a bit about that in a second, but yeah, I just can't see them winning the game. I can't see them even putting more than like 3 tries on any team. I think Ireland, they might test Ireland. You never know, because Wales' front row, to be fair, are not too shabby right now. But yeah, like I said, I think this is not Wales' time right now, especially with everything going on in the club scene right now. I'll get into that later. All right, so the player to look out for on each team. So I'm not necessarily going for the best player. I just think someone that to keep your eye on. I think will surprise us. Will do very well in the upcoming games. So I'll go in order of like I suppose my rankings of the tournament. So I think France. I think it's really great that Mathieu Jalibert, if I pronounce that correctly. I do apologize if I haven't. I believe Jalibert is the form 10 right now. In France, I think just what he's doing at Bordeaux. I was in Cardiff a few months ago for the Champions Cup final, and yeah, he's running the ship there. He knows what he's doing. I could be mistaken. I believe Intermac's injured, so I believe that's why he's not in the squad. But yeah, just having Jalibert out there, I'm really excited for him. He's one of my favorite players, at least one of my favorite French players right now, and I think it's really good for him to be back in the French squad. And yeah, so I'd keep a look at it. England, it pains me to say it because I do not like this guy. I suppose I do not like him for the right reasons, because just because he kind of gets in your head all the time. But Henry Pollock is going to be the guy to look out for in England's campaign. I think he's surprisingly on the bench against Wales. I thought he might have got the starting shirt, but maybe because it's the first game of the tournament, I'm not really sure. But if I was Steve Borthwick, I'd start him maybe against Ireland. I'd back him. Maybe at 7 or something like that. I don't know. I just think he'll be the guy to look out for. I think in fantasy he's like the most picked player, even though he's on the bench. So I don't know like who is tactically putting a bench player in their team. I don't know. Because obviously like the points get halved. But anyway, yeah, it'll be. I think he'll have a great tournament. He's easily one of the best young players right now. A lot of people were annoyed that he didn't win Breakthrough Player of the Year, but if you look back, he's hardly played any Test rugby, even including the Lions Tour, minutes wise. He's probably played a lot of games, let's say, like he's got a lot of caps, let's say. But he hasn't, minutes wise, he doesn't play that much. But obviously, he's tearing up at Northampton. And yeah. So Scotland's player to look out for this year, I believe, is Cal Steyn. I think he is one of the informed wingers right now. He kind of gets, overshadowed by, Johan van der Merwe and Darcy Graham, the 2 lads fighting for, I suppose, Scotland's top try scorer. But Cal Steyn kind of goes under the radar, but he doesn't put a foot wrong. He's just tearing it up at Glasgow right now. The 2 other lads kind of, I suppose, fighting for the spots at Edinburgh, against each other. But Cal Steyn's won the battle over Darcy Graham, and so it'll be really cool to see him on the wing. I think Cal Steyn will be tearing it up this year in the Six Nations, and I think he'll be leading the charge in that back line. Just putting in some massive shots, some great tries, and yeah, I'd love to see him tear it up this year. Italy. So it was going to be Edoardo Todaro. However, he has unfortunately suffered an ACL injury. I believe it's an ACL tear, in the Italy camp, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he's, I try to watch, like I watch quite a bit of the Prem, just because it tends to line up with, I suppose, my schedule, and the timing's a bit better, than the URC. So he's been just ripping it at Northampton, along with, Daniele Fischetti. So yeah, I'm really, really sad that he's not going to make it this tournament. I thought he'd do really well. I think he light a fire in the back three, which I suppose has been struggling quite a bit, especially with Capozzo injured, obviously. Montijuani is one of my favourite players, but he hasn't really been shining recently. So yeah, so I thought Todaro was really going to switch things up there, but he's injured unfortunately. So for Italy, I've gone for Manuel Zuliani. I think he is one of the best back rowers in the comp, let alone in Italy. He's just a turnover machine, absolute unit. I think he's going to do really well for Italy this year. So for Ireland, I've gone with Edwin Edogbo. I've been watching him for quite a while now. Even though I'm not a Munster fan, I do like what he's doing there at Munster. I think the call up has been coming for a while. I thought he would have been called up ages ago, but seeing him getting called up and then his brother Sean Edogbo getting man of the match the same week is just electric. So Edogbo hasn't been picked for the upcoming game for France. I suppose it's probably Ireland's biggest game of the tournament, especially with it being the opening game. It will really make or break any momentum they have. So I understand why he didn't necessarily get picked. But I think if he does get the call up for maybe an Italy or a Wales game, I think he'll take it in both hands and he'll strive really well. And for Wales, I'll go with Dan Edwards. He's probably Wales' only in form player right now. He's just doing really well at 10. I hope he steers the ship. I prefer him over Sam Costello. I just think Dan Edwards will do. He's a really young prospect. It's a shame with what's going on at Ospreys right now, and I'll touch more on that now. So hopefully he's got a decent future ahead of him. Hopefully he goes to France or something and makes a name for himself. But yeah, I think he's maybe he's probably Wales' only informed player. Obviously, I would pick Jack Morgan as being Wales' top player right now, but he's injured, which is a shame. But yeah, I think Dan Edwards will be the man to look out for in this Wales campaign. So ending off the Six Nations talk with my fantasy team for match week 1. So we'll start with the front row. So I'm going with bear in mind the Italy team, at least as of right now, has not been announced. So my Italian players might get shifted around, or taken out or whatever. But I'm sure anyone that I've picked will probably play, or at least starting anyway. So yeah. But if not, we'll switch it around. So we'll go to the front row. So I've gone with Joe Hayes at England, Dan Sheehan from Ireland at hooker, and Danilo Fischetti from Italy as the other prop. Danilo Fischetti, I believe, is the top prop, at least cost wise. I suppose maybe Ellis Gagnon will be the number one. Joe Hayes, I picked him just because I think he's doing pretty well at the moment. I think he's going to have a cracking game against the Welsh front row this weekend. And Dan Sheehan is obviously the best hooker, arguably in the world right now. And I think he's just going to do really well. In the second row, I've got Ty Byrne from Ireland and Andrea Zambonin from Italy. Zambonin is doing really well at Exeter, really putting his name out there, and I think he's just an absolute line-out operator. And yeah, obviously I could have gone with Maritoji and stuff, but you got to think of tactically who you want to save money on and who you want to spend money on. It's kind of weird. It depends how you think about it. But I think lock might be one of the worst positions in fantasy. They tend to go unnoticed, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I just think that they don't really get a lot of points. And yeah, so I might as well save my money and then bank it on perhaps the back row or the 9-10 partnerships, and really boost my account there. Obviously, if Andrea doesn't get picked, then I might switch it around, go with the Toje, or go with someone else, maybe Canone, who knows. But yeah, and then so Ty Byrne, I think he's just one of the best players in the world right now, and I've actually captained him, which I guess goes against what I was just saying about Locke's not getting that many points, but Ty Byrne is just one of the best players in the world right now. He just does everything so well, and I back him to do really well this weekend. I think he's going to really put his best foot forward and hopefully get me a lot of points this weekend. But we'll see. After the Italy team gets announced, who knows, I might switch things up. But yeah, in the back row, I've got Ben O. I think he's just cracking. I think he's just going to tear it up again, as he does always. He's got an absolute motor on him. And yeah, Keane Prendergast, great to see him back in the Ireland setup. I think he's going to do well with Six Nations. He's a young prospect. But I think kind of gets overshadowed by his brother Sam. Obviously starting at 10 this weekend. But I think Keane is a really good player, and I think he's gonna show up this weekend. He's been trusted with the starting 6 shirt. So yeah, really back him this weekend. And then Jack Dempsey again, another one of the best back rowers in the world right now. Just doing really well. Alright, so scrum off and fly off is obviously Antoine Dupont and Finn Russell. This is where all your money should go to. If you're not picking Antoine Dupont and Finn Russell, I don't know who you're picking, or why you're picking them. I don't know if you're trying to save the points for someone else or something. I don't know. But those are the obvious picks. The best scrum half in the world, and arguably the best 10 in the world. In the centres, I've gone with Tommaso Menoncello, as well as Sione Tuipilotu. Probably two of the best centres right now. Tommaso Menoncello has like recently said that he's the best centre in the world. I don't necessarily agree with that. Don't get me wrong, but he's definitely one of the best centres in the world. And then Sione Tuipilotu is captaining the country. He's captaining Scotland this time around. First time in Six Nations. I know we did it over during the autumn, but yeah, I think he's just gonna absolutely do really well. And yeah, like, he always does. Like he's always a really strong player, and yeah, always does really well for his country. The back three. So I've got Carl Steyn, obviously going back my boy. Thomas Rameau, France, goal kicker. He does kick a lot of goals. France is going to score a lot of points, so I see him doing a lot of goal kicking, and obviously that's a great way to rack up points. And then Monty Ioane, even though I was kind of talking rubbish about him earlier, I think I don't know. This is kind of like my last chance with him. I've had him in my team plenty of times before, and it's like every time I pick him, he doesn't do particularly well. Then I'll drop him. He'll have the best game of his life. Then I'll play him again. He won't do that well, or like I'll captain him. He won't do that well. But I back him. This is like probably my last time I'm going to back him. So hopefully he proves me wrong. But yeah, and then super sub, I'll go with Pietro Movaka. I think he's one of the best hookers in the world right now. So having him come off the bench, he'll probably come off the bench quite early, just being a front rower and all. So hopefully we get a good 20, 30 minutes out of him. Next, so we're still talking about rugby. So shocking news. This came out yesterday, I believe, or for me anyway. That Ospreys will likely go under after next season. This is terrible for rugby. Ospreys obviously the most successful Welsh region, winning, I believe, a total of 5 league trophies, if I'm not mistaken. Like they brought up Shane Williams and like Jack Morgan right now, but obviously like Wales is probably best ever player. Maybe even Wales's most treasured asset, Alan Jones. He came to the academy, came to Ospreys. Like, I don't get why they're doing it. I don't get why their best team is going to be the one paying the price for the Welsh rugby's financial struggles. It's a shame. I know it's more precautionary. I did some research about it. So it's not necessarily that they will go under, but if the purchase by Y11 goes through, then like the Swansea Council, I believe it is Swansea Council, sorry. I believe they said, yeah, Ospreys just won't be able to exist. Not as a professional team anyway. So that'll be a massive shame. So like I was saying earlier, I think that this could cause a massive disruption in the Wales camp over the next few weeks. So only 7 Ospreys players made the squad, but it wouldn't surprise me if they, who knows, they might form some sort of strike, and the other players might get behind it. Like, I don't know how I would feel if I was an Ospreys player, like getting selected for a country that doesn't want my team to exist no more. Because obviously you spend most of your time around Ospreys, around the Ospreys fans, around the Ospreys players, around those coaches, and now to suddenly see it just disappear in possibly 2 seasons time. I don't know how I'd feel. I don't know if I'd want to play for that country. Lastly, for my 2 pence, it's Super Bowl weekend. Super Bowl Sunday is this Sunday. I ain't got an ounce of knowledge into the deeper workings in the NFL, so I could be talking rubbish, but I believe for Super Bowl 60, the Patriots will be taking the dub against the Seahawks. I've been talking with a few of my friends, both American friends and international friends that watch the NFL a lot more than I do. They really see Sam Darnold taking it, but I don't know. I think Drake May will be taking the Patriots to big things in the future, but I think it starts here. I think Coach Vrabel has instilled like a belief system into the Patriots that they're bigger in their schedule. Like, obviously they had a bit of an easy schedule, but playoffs are playoffs. It's do or die, and they decided to do. Do you know what I mean? So I think why not finish the job this Sunday? I'm a Patriots fan. Always have been since I started watching NFL, and I think the Lombardi will be going back to Foxborough for the 7th time, and yeah, that's my 2 pence. We'd love to hear anyone's thoughts in the comments. So we're now going to the end of the show. So if I ever have a guest on my show, what I'm going to ask them at the end is some quick fire questions. So I've got 6 questions that I'll ask people that they have to answer quickly, and I'm just going to give you my answers to so that way, it's all fair. I've given my answers. So I'll start. The first question is rugby GOAT. So I've gone with Dan Carter. A lot of people say John Olomu, but I've just never watched John Olomu. We've all seen the same highlights, but I've just never really seen him play. Obviously, those highlights I've seen, obviously he's a cracking player, but, and I suppose he did revolutionize rugby, but again, he's not the GOAT for me. I think Dan Carter, 2-time World Cup winner, the way he's played, I think he's the GOAT for me. My favourite player, Sergio Parise. He is the player I try to emulate when I play rugby. I want to be able to do everything and do everything well. And like Sergio Parise could do, he could kick, he could carry, he could pass. He was just a fantastic player. He's easily my favourite player. Arguably the best number 8 of all time. I know it's controversial, but yeah. Favourite sport other than rugby? I'm going to go with Aussie rules football. I played AFL for about 3 seasons in London. My dad used to play in the 90s, and then when I turned old enough to play it in London, I decided to go give it a go, and I got pretty good at it. Not crazy good, don't get me wrong, but I do hold the title of the youngest ever AFL London player, and the first player to play with his dad. So I don't know, I'm kind of like AFL London royalty for being honest. Shout out to AFL London, but yeah, favourite snack, Reese's, easily. I can remember when I had my first Reese and I realised that it's the greatest thing ever created. Favourite sports memories? Probably be Ireland beating the All Blacks in the first time in Chicago. I remember watching that game because that was roughly the same time I started growing up and actually watching rugby rather than just kind of sitting on the sofa with my dad. I was actually watching the game. And yeah, easily watching Ireland beat the All Blacks and watching it with my dad as well. That was pretty special. And my last question is, if players were stocks, who would you invest in? Yeah. So again, I hate to do it, but I think Henry Pollock will just be one of the best players that we will come across. I think not only on the field, but I think off the field, he's just bringing a new light to rugby. Everyone in their granny's talking about him. He is annoying, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, he's doing a lot of things that people wouldn't dare to do. He's got a bit of charisma about him, and I think that's just really good to see in rugby. That they're no longer robots. We're actually seeing people. People want to make a name for themselves, which I think rugby's lacking. I think we're lacking characters. We just got a lot of good players. We haven't got a lot of characters. So yeah, so if I had to invest my money into a player, it would be Henry Pollock. That's all I've got for today. So check back hopefully this time roughly next week with a brand new episode. Hopefully I'll get a few guests on in the future. Yeah, I'd love to have you guys share this around with your friends and family, and let's grow this empire. Comment your thoughts on how I can improve, anything you'd like me to talk about, whether that's my takes on anything. This will go up after the first round of Fifth Nation, so if you want to see what I have to say about first round games, let me know. And if you have any questions about life in the university, life in America, my rugby life, anything like that, go ahead and ask. I'm willing to answer any more questions. Like I said, hopefully I get some guests on, whether that's guys from here or guys from back home. But yeah, that's everything. Thanks and goodbye for now. Peace!